We're going to talk about what has happened in Ukraine on this day of the Russian invasion. We'll examine the actions and the strategies, both military and political. Now, if this is your first time watching, my name is Darren Gertis. I'm a professor who's built multiple leadership programs at Charleston Southern University. So we'll also view these events through the lens of leadership. And I also wrote a book about Zelensky called I Need Ammunition, Not a Ride, and you can find it on Amazon. Okay, the Russians have had momentum and they've kept the momentum. The foothold that they had in Severodonetsk has been growing and growing. They're gaining ground west of Lyman and south of Izium. And their next target appears to be Slovansk. Now, if you, okay, I want you to look at other things. Like if you're interested enough to watch this, there's a couple of great resources to look at. One is the Institute for the Study of War. If you want to read about the play-by-plays, look on Twitter for the UK Ministry of Defense, and then look on YouTube for a guy named Dennis Denys, I believe, Davidov, Davydov, I believe, and he gives a play-by-play with a map. He's Ukrainian. He's a pilot in Ukraine. He does an incredibly great job in trying to give you an understanding. He's been telling us, hey, Slavyanovsk is next. This is where they're going. For the last couple of weeks, he's been beating that drum, and it looks increasingly likely that's what's going to happen. Zelensky told his people, the quote, the fiercest fighting in Severodonetsk and in all cities and communities nearby as before. The losses, unfortunately, are painful, but we have to hold on. And then he skipped a little bit, said, the more losses the enemy suffers there, the less power they will have. And that's true, but you're also taking it in the chin too. So it's really, I mean, they just have to hang on until they get sufficient artillery to be able to really push back. And by artillery, I don't mean the shells. They have the shells. They need the weapon systems in order to shoot it. It's like having bullets without the gun. In Donbass direction, the key, I'm quoting Zelensky again now, in Donbass direction, the key is to determining who will dominate in the coming weeks. Okay, so that is the key. It's all about what's going on in these couple cities in Donbass. All right. Now, there's also a push from Kharkiv in the northeast, and now Kharkiv is only like 20 miles or so from the Russian border, and there's a big push down. The Ukrainians pushed the Russians back in many places to the border, and they've flooded back in. Now, there's also another threat in the northwest. Kharkiv is near the Russian border, but further to the west is the Belarusian border, and the Belarusian army is engaging in some war games, kind of hoping that they can draw some Ukrainian units away over to the border in order to defend against a potential attack there. I doubt that they're going to attack. The Institute for the Study of War seems to think that they're unlikely to join the war. And that's because Alexander Lukashenko is in a really tough spot. He's the president of Belarus. He almost was ousted a few years ago, and Putin helped him kind of stay in power. And so he wants to support Putin, but he doesn't want to put himself in a place where politically he's so exposed that he gets ousted. Okay, a couple of other interesting pieces of news. Politico reported that the European Commission will, in fact, grant Ukraine candidate status, which would be a huge shot in the arm. It's not official yet, but if this happens, it will be tremendously great for Ukraine because now they're part of that system, and it gives them extra leverage and extra power. Okay, another report issued by Finland-based Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air showed that Russia earned, get this, $98 billion by exporting fossil fuels in the first 100 days of the war, and the EU was 61% of it. So the sanctions, the seventh package of sanctions that just came out, which said that they're going to cut down on Russian oil by like 90% or something like that, that's going to have a pretty significant impact. Now think about this. The Russian budget, about a third of the federal budget comes from sale of fossil fuels. And so if they can, squeeze that pretty tight, it'll be a really good thing for Ukraine. Finally, last piece of news is that the first shipment of Ukrainian grain has reached Spain. Now, it went overland through Poland out to the Baltic Sea in order to get there. So it's more expensive, it's less efficient, but they're able to do it. The difficulty is that above and beyond being more expensive and taking longer or whatever, it's far less efficient, and they're not going to be able to get as much out. So they're still going to it's there's still going to be a food crisis because of either Russian sanctions and or Ukraine not being able to get that out. So that's where we are for today on Tuesday, the 14th of June, and it's come back tomorrow for day 112.
Hey, if this video was helpful, hit like to help others find it in YouTube's algorithm. Subscribe so that you can stay informed. And one more thing, if you are moved to contribute to the humanitarian aid for Ukraine, I have a link below for Samaritan's Purse. If you want to give, be sure to give only to reputable organizations. There's a lot of scammers out there. Thanks for your time.